on the board of Washington Public Power Supply System at that time, and they were instrumental in getting the N reactor going. And he was out there among his name was in there. Robert. His name was Robert Johanson.
So your father was there. Did you get to witness this?
No.
But your father did?
Yeah, he was out there, allegedly one of the dignitaries.
So did your father get to meet President Kennedy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they all got to meet him.
Are there any stories about that day that he ever told you that?
Oh, yeah, he was, like everybody else, we were all agog at getting to meet the President Kennedy. And so it was an exciting time for them. And there were literally thousands of people went out to the event.
Okay. You know, I've never seen an actual program from
Oh, that's one of the original ones that they got. And I think it would be maybe useful in your teaching.
Yes, we would love to digitize this and make it available
Yeah.
on our project website.
I was instrumental in starting an insurance company here too. And there's a picture of.
Oh, so this is you or your father? This is
That's
you.
me. Yeah. Then also there was a big deal in the. Here's an old newspaper. Whoop. This is Friday, February the 18th, 1966. At the Tri-City Herald. And there's yours truly right there.
These are great.
we got, and we employed people, and we collected, sold stock all over the state of Washington.
Wow, we would love to take some images of this, and we're happy to get it back to you.
Okay, sure.
We can have a big scanner. We can get a full scan of the whole thing.
Oh, great, yeah. It's kind of a yellowed newspaper after, how long has that been now? 50 years?
A while. Wow. So yes, we would love to make this available.
And we had people on our board of directors that were like, oh, Sam Volpentest. He was a big name here, you know. Well known. He was a mover and a shaker. And this is our this was a brochure we had, and shows all the board of directors and so on. Excuse me.
Sam Volpentest was really instrumental in keeping money coming out here for further development out in the area to keep, so the economy kept going out here. Along with, what's his name? Who was the representative?
And
Skip, the right guy. There's a legislator who did a lot of good work for us too. But Sam Volpentest, there's lots of stuff named after him now. He's a big guy.
There you go. I just learned something.
pardon?
I just learned something.
Oh,
Important.
yeah. If I could have those back when you're finished.
Of course.
In fact, I can take them.
We can actually.
If we're finished up, I can take them right down and bring them back. Is there anything else?
Can you do that? Yeah. Is there any other stories you'd like to share with us? Anything else?
I'll probably think of a lot when I get home.
That's That's
Yeah.
usually
Usually
how
how
it
it works.
goes.
Yeah. Well, the one about going out and getting the cider press, I think we were going to make some hooch or something. Hard cider.
And did you?
I think so. Yeah. And, but we used to, you know, Hanford and White Bluffs were our opposing teams because they were in the same league. And Richland was in the same league then, and I think Prosser and Grandview, and I remember playing football. We had football, Benton City never had football until I was a senior in high school there. And then we had football. We lost almost every game because none of us had played football before. And then by then, Hanford and White Bluffs, they didn't have football either. Kennewick and Pasco did, Prosser and Grandview. And our quarterback broke his arm, so he played the rest of the season with his left arm in a cast.
And it cast on and kept playing?
Yeah, he kept playing, believe it or not. and trying to think of some other things associated with Hanford. It was a big part of our lives because, you know, that was the big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And the towns in Richland jumped from 300 people to several thousand almost overnight.
Yeah.
And even out at the Richland Y, there were a lot of businesses out there at that time. Originally, there was only one business there. There was when you went from like Kiona to Kennewick you would go through the Richland Y, and there was a service station there, and that's all there was there at that time. And eventually, there got to be several stores and restaurants and so on there too. And but there were a lot of people they'd go to work, and there'd be a termination wind, a good old Tri-City windstorm with the dust blowing, and they would just be a line of them heading back home to where they came from, or it'd be Kansas or Oklahoma or whatever. But they came out here, and a lot of them stayed because it was still better than where they'd come from, because a lot of them came right out of the Dust Bowl in Oklahoma. And that was, if you've ever seen the movie Tobacco Road, that's an old movie. It's good to get it and watch it. It gives you an idea of what things were like back then. And, but those were the people, and they'd come into town with old cars, old Model A Fords and so on, and they'd have suitcases and trunks up on top and tied down with ropes, and old trucks and everything. It looked like evacuation of a war zone. And a lot of them would just camp along the road up between the Y and Kennewick. And of course the road went down where the park is now, and there were farms along there. And but they would, a lot of the people coming into town to work would stop and camp along there, along the way, because they probably camped along the way all the way out from wherever they came from, the Midwest. And then you had a lot of more sophisticated people like the scientists too that came out, but they were the ones who got the plum housing. And it was and you had the top-notch people like Fermi and people like that were the fathers of the atomic era. They lived here too. Some of them just came out from Chicago and places like that to work. So, like I said, I'll probably think of a lot more things when I get home.
Always. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming in and spending this time with us and sharing your memories.
Oh, that's okay. At my age, you know, you have lots of time
It was wonderful.
on your hands. Time on your hands.
Lots of stuff we hadn't heard before, so it was really good.
Pardon?
You had lots of stuff